go. Hi there. I'm Janelle. This channel is Janelle Art. And tonight, it is the longest night of the year. It's the winter solstice, so I'm gonna just work on a few drawings and open this up for chat. And thanks for bearing with me as I get everything set up. They don't let us have access to this to set the moderation before we go, so always have to do it at the beginning. Welcome in to Replay Crew. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the comments, likes, all that good stuff. Get all that out of the way. Let's make some art. I've been working away, exploring the Daniel Smith watercolors, and a little bit later I will show you some of the swatches that I've been making, just mixing the Zoisite Genuine. I'm just going nutty over this paint. It's kind of a neutral gray-green. It's got a wonderful granulation to it, and it's been a lot of fun to work with. So some of the experiments have been a bit of a flop. Some of them have been uninspiring. That's just part of the process. It's one of the things we have to work our ways through. Just like getting through the short days of the year, getting to the point where things get a little bit easier, get a few more minutes of daylight each day. As you can tell, I'm a little scattered. I've been running around trying to get stuff squared away. And I bet you have too. It's just that time of year. Kind of third week into December, and lots of things going on, so I'm going to just start using this pigment pen, which is waterproof, acid-free, non-fading pigment ink, not dye-based, but something that really soaks into the paper and sticks around. And I'm putting these lines over a background that's made on watercolor paper using water-based media. But this isn't a tutorial, really. It is an exercise. It's a little bit of a time to come and quiet our minds, practice focusing on a task. Get your hand warmed up, get your mind slowed down. Situate yourself in the here and now. And make a little bit of art. The days that feel like, oh, I cannot find a minute to spare, I just can't. Sometimes those are the very days that can benefit from taking some time to gather our wits about us. Because if you think about it, those are the days where there's so much demand, right? And if you can perform the tasks a little bit more efficiently, then maybe you can get through a difficult day more efficiently. Instead of feeling like you're completely behind, it would be nice to feel like you've got some additional capacity to juggle everything that needs to be juggled. So that's where it starts to show up, the benefit of a practice like this. It starts to show up when you are putting yourself through your paces, and you ever have one of those days where you just misplace the car keys, misplace your shoes, misplace your phone. You can't seem to gather your concentration for anything. I have those days. They can really just take it out of you. But if overall you could practice being more mindful, staying in the moment, then I find when I'm on top of my mindfulness practice, I'm less likely to just be scattered all over. I still lose things, you know. That's going to be part of it. But becoming angry and frustrated is rarely helpful to getting a problem solved. Being able to gather yourself up and think, concentrate, and effectively think your way to the answer, that's helpful. So you don't cultivate a mindful way of going about your life if you just let yourself run around like a chicken with your head cut off. You cultivate it by practicing focus. These are some nice calming colors, these blues, greens, yellows. So I switched over from the microns to this Accurate, I think is the brand. It's a store brand. I think I got it from Dick Blick Art Materials, and so far I'm pretty pleased with it. It seems to perform well in the next steps when I come back in and add more media. And so far, just one pen into the box of 12, but it does seem to have a lot of ink. It's stayed nice and juicy. And that's probably, my one complaint about the Sakura microns is that they just don't seem to contain enough ink. I'm running it through a pen in less than a week. So if I was working with them on the workbench for an 8-hour day, I probably would go through a pen a day. And at over $3 a piece, that's just not an economic choice. So alrighty. Well, there's one. If you're out there hanging out, I encourage you, if you're up to it, if you feel like it, want to chat, go ahead and chat. Feel like I've been running, like I said earlier, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to keep up with stuff that was going on, and it's been a little challenging to carve out some time to get a live stream going for you in the last few days. So I know we're kind of late in the day on Saturday, and it's like, nope, I've got to do it. It's really was important to me to have some content for you on Solstice. I hope that wherever you are, that you've had a chance to bundle up. And if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, bundle up and go outside and just take a look up. If you're in someplace where you've got a clear sky, the stars are absolutely beautiful tonight. The sky is very dark, and I took a few moments to just stand and look up at the night sky. And it certainly wasn't warm outside. I'm here in Oregon, and it's fairly temperate compared to other places in the country, to be sure. But it was cold enough for me. I don't know how you're going. I'm going to guess there's some of you out there that are struggling with this holiday that's coming up this next week. And, you know, I've heard quite a few people talking about their preparations and what they plan to cook and all the family that are coming to gather. And there are some of us out here who are at stages of our life where maybe we've outlived our family. Maybe our family is far flung. Maybe we don't have the resources to prepare a giant feast or buy presents. And that is a struggle. And I think a lot of us are suffering that alone. So I wanted to just create a little bit of space and just put that word out there that it's all right. You're not alone in that feeling or that reality. In fact, I think some people are going to find themselves in a crowd of people just feeling that same way. It's just part of the time of year. It can be a struggle. Hi, Dan K. Well, Santa came early to your channel today, didn't he? Boy, I really felt for you. When you looked up and saw there were, what, I don't know, some 70 people who were scrolling past, and it can absolutely discombobulate a person when they're trying to string some words together and try to do some tasks and stay in frame. And you did a terrific job there. And I'm just thrilled as can be to see that your channel, that your live stream had that happen, because it's really a terrific group. Yeah, for those of you on replay who don't have the chat yet, Dan K. of Elegant Woodcraft has entered the chat and says howdy to everybody. I didn't know that there was a cap on viewers. Tell me more. I've seen some of the vertical live streams with over 1,000 people in them. So I just know. Not too long ago, I looked up and there were 23 people, and I just forgot my native language, and I had to kind of, uh, ah. Did you happen to take, if you happen to take a screenshot of that, pop it to me in an email, because I'd love to see it. Um, I'm going to say I haven't really been watching the calendar, but you might still be in the 30-day. No, you're out of that. 30-day kind of a probationary period for live streamers where they don't allow you to post links in your chat and all kinds of YouTube babysitting. Hmm. Okay. Well, that's news to me. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. We should be so lucky. You must have bumped up against the limit if there is one then. I have noticed, here's a little YouTubery for us to kind of step away from the art stuff. When I first started streaming, this thing got pushed out to the front page, and I had all kinds of people who were popping into chat, and they would say, "Oh, I don't even like art, but this came up, it's kind of interesting," or just I could tell that the channel was getting pushed out into all kinds of areas. Maybe just how the algorithm works to try to help us find our audience. And then in probably the last 3 months, I do keep an eye on those numbers that show up. And I do look at my analytics to try to figure out what what countries it's going to, and where my viewership is, and what their age breakdowns and stuff are. And it just seems like it wasn't just a plateau, but there was just skidding halt of how the live streams were getting pushed out compared to how they did at first. So it almost feels like YouTube is just kind of hooking us into live streaming with lots and lots of viewers right up front. And then, we step in and we start producing content. And then, we don't get our content pushed out as hard once they've trained us to make content 3 times a week. So okay. Yeah. So Dan is saying that he got a pop up on his screen that said his audience was capped at around 150, and then it altered with various numbers and said that you need to get more subscribers to increase it. And boy, and was it in the chat, or did it pop up over your screen, or did it just roll through in chat? Okay. Dan says that popped up at the top of his screen. Alrighty. So if it popped up, I was thinking if I went back on replay and took a look, but I won't be able to see it if it was a message that came from there. I was going to say, if it's anything that pops up in chat, sometimes there's just crazy kinds of messages that say you are violating YouTube terms of service, stop this live stream immediately, and it's spam. That's not an actual YouTube message. Well, we'll just have to do some digging and see what we can find out about that, because that's quite interesting. And also, I think, kind of the take. One thing I think about this is if you had more people could watch it. Um, I mean, people trying to watch your stream. That's a problem we should all have, right? Yeah. So you have seen the trolls I'm talking about. No, it definitely wasn't that. Okay. Well, uh, I think that that's kind of a crappy way for YouTube to communicate to you while you're in the middle of doing something and you've got a crowd of people watching you. Perhaps they should send you an email or something in another way. It must have been really disconcerting when that happened. The night that I had, the night in November when I was streaming, it just had like 1,200 people in views before I even finished the live stream. Even then, I didn't get witness. Solstice, it's lovely to see you. Hi, hi, hi. Um, Now, witness, you witness is modded, and they've been around the community a bit. Have you ever been modding a vertical live stream and had YouTube tell the streamer that their audience was capped because of their subscriber level? Does that ring a bell with you at all? And yeah, where are you at with your subscribers, Dan? Maybe we need to just boost you up here. I will. I will. For anybody who's watching this video, right now it's not in the description, but if you're watching it on replay, it will be. I will drop Dan's channel link in the description for this video. That's terrific, Dan. All right, so if you guys like to watch woodcrafting, you like to watch somebody who's using the tools at hand to make some really cool stuff and is he's consistently there on Saturday mornings, then subscribe to Dan's channel because I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed it. And I enjoy Dan. I enjoy the way he presents stuff. I think it's wonderful to watch them come together. I love seeing things just go from nothing to something. It's just kind of magical. And it's just a shout out to the people who are regularly in his chat because they are there's some people who are they're friendly, they're inviting, they keep a good sense of decorum. They've got a great, like the banter and the humor is good, but it doesn't ever make me feel uncomfortable. And as a woman in the internet space, sometimes that's a little bit of a tricky path to tread. But I just I always feel like I just am among friends in there, and that usually if anybody's causing any trouble or being inappropriate, it turns out it's me. Yeah. Okay, witness, that's what I thought. And I know I've just been hearing lots of complaints about the performance, and I've, yeah, it's very odd to me. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of just feeling like that was a glitch. And did it choke your feed or knock down, were people in the chat saying they couldn't get the chat to work or, yeah. He was rolling really well today. I think I came in at one point and there were like over 70 people just in the watch count up at the top. And that number's a little deceptive. If you're being pushed out on the front page, it's not 70 people sitting there staring at you. Try to keep that in mind. It's 70 people who are going, scroll, is this for me? Scroll, scroll, scroll. So it's probably not people looking at you. When you think about 70 people all with their eyes on you, it can stop you in your tracks. It's probably just your regular guys, and then it's people who are nicely done. So Dan said he stayed consistently around 140 to 150. That's terrific. When you see that, you know that you're on YouTube's, on the home page for people. So, good going. Boy, I'm looking at this. It's so beautiful, and I'm just not immediately seeing a place to start, but I'm going to do it. Oh. Yeah. Hey, it's Pooh Tiggaroo. Oh my golly. Oh, you guys, I'm so glad to see you guys. You've been watching my community page. I've had a bit of a week. So, yeah. Oh, okay. Just thank you. Yeah. Oh no, Dan. This is what I'm here for. Um, this is just a piece of paper. Just a little paint, a pen. It's nothing. People, that's what it's about. All right, I'm just gonna draw a circle. We'll see where she goes. Yeah. Yeah. So we just do what we can for as many people as we can, for as long as we can. And then when things shake up or they leave us depleted, then we reevaluate and we find other ways and other challenges, other things to work on. And that is just part of life. So I suspect that the way we get slung through space, right? Like as we're just turning and the Earth is moving thousands of miles per hour and everything's just hurtling along, right? It's no wonder that we feel unsettled at certain times of the year, more so than others. Feel an urge to shake things up and stop doing the stuff that doesn't serve us, and we try to find new ways to spend ourselves. I've had a year of just having to reckon with my own mortality, and in some ways, I think some people come away from those experiences and they're more easygoing. And then other people come away from it and they become more intent about what they're up to and how they spend themselves. And there's been a handful of things, I suppose, if I thought about it, that I have loosened up and gone just, oh, this doesn't matter. This is, in the big scheme of things, this is irrelevant. But I think for the most part, I've kind of tightened up and gone, become very deliberate about how I'm going to spend myself. So, yeah. If you're doing stuff and it's not serving you, it's not making the world a better place, it's okay to go, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to try something else until I come away from that task feeling like I've filled my tank a little bit. I'm going to stop doing the things that feel like they just drain and exhaust. Because it is possible to be engaged in tasks where you are building instead of destroying. And that's just become kind of important to me. So I know there were, some strongly worded statements in my community page in the last week, and I just got pushed. and decided I was just going to stop being pushed. And it's a good time of the year to just reevaluate and take a new tack. And whether that comes, from an internal driver, it comes from the forces of, the universe. It doesn't matter, The response is what matters. Disengaging from things that don't serve you, it's okay. I recommend it. Alrighty. Gonna take a look at the chat and see if I can make any sense of this. Yeah, another trip around the sun. Every day is the start of another trip around the sun. Somewhere on that orbit. Yeah, that's a good approach, witness. It's all well and good until you're in the middle of watching a stream with 560 people and all of a sudden somebody, drops something in your lap. And I went, oh, well, I was being quiet, but screw this noise. So, it wasn't anything we haven't seen in spades before. But as I've said, I'm doing more good for myself. I'm doing more good for you guys by talking about art, talking about mindfulness. I mean, I am a survivor of a cult, and there are a lot of us out there. A lot of people who've gotten tangled up in things that were exploitive, right? And am I going to make my entire channel be about that? What do we get for that? Where does it get us? It doesn't buy us recovery. It doesn't comfort or move the world ahead. So it is okay to do things that are healing, that are increase our sense of happiness and well-being. I suspect because humans do like to form affiliations. We're just biologically built to do that. And we also have those among us who would exploit others. So we're not going to answer this question of high demand religions and cults. We're not going to eradicate that. I believe the best we can hope for is to just educate people and help them when they get entangled, if they want to get out. Yeah. It looked like a mess, but we made some sense of it. That's kind of life. Yeah, exactly, witness says. We can help them recover. So, when in my first episodes, my first Janelle art things that I did, I said, I'm here so that I can, just have something for somebody to do when they've had a tough day of their activist work, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're, doing mechanical work on a car, whether you're cult busting, whether you're, taking care of your family, walking the dog, whatever it is you do. I just felt like I could share what I could do from where I was at, which was recovering from having 6 stents put in my heart. So I wasn't, out cutting anybody's lawn, but I could sit here and talk about art and encourage people to do, to make their own art, to engage in their own creative process. And that's what I set out to do, and it's still what I'm doing. So I love it when anybody comes in here. I love it to hear that somebody has decided to dust off some of their equipment or start drawing or coloring or making things. Any of it. So I know that people that make stuff, that engage in creative work, are people that are happier and they have more balance, and they're nicer to be around, quite frankly. And the more we make the world full of people who are nicer to be around, the nicer it's going to be around, right? So I have finally gotten my stack of blanks back up here, so that's kind of a nice deal. And I've been working on swatching, but I've noticed every time I start talking about swatching, the count goes bloop. So I'm thrilled about it. I love, mixing the new paints and finding new colors, and it's pretty fun. But I'll just give you a hint on this. We'll probably be doing some swatching. We're going to be live streaming tomorrow with Maya, at least Maya. And so for those of you who are excited about swatching, there will be swatching tomorrow. But today, we're gonna take in the solstice and enjoy each other's company. And yeah, there we go. Witness says, I think it's great. We do what we are able to do, what makes us happy, and it encourages others to find that as well. They hope. Yeah, me too. That's what I hope. I'll touch you guys to give you a little. This one's kind of green and brown. It looks like peridot, I think, or olivine. Peridot being the August birthstone, kind of a beautiful olive green. So Dan, I had to go take care of a couple of things, and I wasn't able to watch your live stream clear to the end. It's on my watch later. The three green, these guys? Okay. Well, this is phthalo green, the horrible green that is not found in nature. This is cyan. This is Prussian blue. And then these are the mixtures that I got. This is the one when I mixed the cyan with this zoisite color. And the zoisite is, do you see this? It's very unassuming. It's fairly drab. It's kind of a gray green, and it's gritty. So on its own, it's kind of, I like it, but it is a bit drab. There's not a lot going on. But when you mix it with some other colors, like the phthalo green, the color not found in nature, it turns this amazing turquoise color. And I just was, I just wanted to get out a new piece of paper and start painting some rocks as I am in the rocks phase of my work. And then this is that cyan blue mixed with that color. It's doing some kind of cool things. The way it granulates and the way it's not just a smooth wash of color. See how this is just like one color all the way across? My eye is so bored with that. But when we mix these two together, there's a liveliness that comes to it. There's almost a sparkle to it with the different colors and the way the pigment creates this sediment. So, yeah. And let me see. I was digging through my stash of art supplies and I found some, dun dun dun, I was so thrilled with this, some 4" by 8" frames, which is a crazy thing to have just, in your hoard of art supplies. Because 4 by 8 inches is a very strange, 5 by 7, 8 by 10, 12 by 14. Like those are kind of the standards. 4 by 8, you don't get photographs. I don't even know how I managed to do this, but Yeah, so just I'll try to hold this so that we don't have the glare of the glass. And this painting is not completed. I just dropped it in the frame to see how it was going to look. I've got the pebbles inked in, and they'll get a wash of color and then some more details. But I know, my art supplies hoard is I am I am both proud and ashamed. It's something to behold. And then you get Maya and I together, and between the two of us, we've got a ridiculous amount of. What did you need? So when we stream together, we love to play the game of have the chat say, "Hey, I've got a question about," and we like to see which one of us has it within our wingspan to reach over and grab. And I think I don't know. I last week I weighed in with a Pantone swatch book and Conte crayons, so we have a lot of fun with that. Yeah, yeah. So this is all. Everything on here was mixed using that zoisite from Daniel Smith. Yeah, that was the color I mixed up on the palette, and I went that I like that best, and so I just plunked it right smack in the middle. Yep. So I'm not always doing these guys. Sometimes I'm actually working on a painting, and I like these little 4x8s, but I'm working on some bigger pieces too. So anyway, thanks for letting me geek out about the paint there for a minute. It just makes me happy. Yeah. I'm so thrilled with these. And then if anybody out there's a painter who's familiar with a Daniel Smith color called Moon Glow, Moon Glow. It's one of their proprietary mixes. It's they're the only they came up with it. They sell it. It's a mix of Scarlet Lake, I think, and ultramarine and lunar black. And I'm not sure that I'm exactly right on this, but it includes viridian, and viridian is the color of oxidized copper, that green color, and it makes this amazing purple. How it does it, my brain can't quite compute it, but I got really close mixing cobalt blue with the zoisite genuine. It's a really close dupe for Moonglow. So I think you've got to go through a bunch of experiments before you find the handful of ones that are really just going to sing and just delight the eye with something new. But this is, I think of it, the stash of art supplies, like that is a reward of living to a ripe old age. And certainly my 18 or 28 or even 38-year-old self would have had a hard time to have a deep cabinet or a cabinet that was deep in lots of art supplies. So it's nice to have the resources, but I will say that the lesson I've learned along the way is that uh, use what you have. Make art. Don't save it. By the time you get to the day that you were saving it for, you might just feel like time is ticking, and um, it's a day. I'll tell you, folks, it's a day that will kind of hit you and land on your shoulder when you look at what you have, and then you have the thought, "Am I going to live long enough to use this stuff?" And it wasn't a comfortable feeling. Uh, my takeaway is, I better get my butt in gear. I better start making art. Maybe I'll just make art every day. I think still, if I make art every day, I probably have a lifetime supply. So if you're sitting on stuff and you're like looking at it, maybe saving it for that better project or that other occasion, don't. Don't wait. Use the good tools, use the good wood, use the good paint, use the good china. Yeah, you don't have to wait till Wednesday. Use that good china on Monday. Yeah. So Dan says he's a vast collection of acrylic paints, and some of them are even UV reactive. Those especially acrylics. I last week I was still hunting for the gum arabic. Don't ask. I don't need it. I just can't find it, and my brain just is making me burrow through cabinets to try to locate it. And one of the things I looked at was a box of acrylic paint, and as I was moving stuff through, I noticed that quite a few of the tubes were now solid chunks of plastic, which is a shame. So acrylic does tend to have it has a, I mean, you've got plasticizers and stuff in it, and they do kind of work over time, and so it won't stay paint forever. So next time it crosses your mind, hey, I could put some of that paint on, just get it out and go to town. No, don't go to town. Stay at your workbench and go to town on the painting. Don't go to town. That's what I'm trying to say. I think sometimes we tell ourselves, what we need to know, and it can be a challenge to kind of listen when you've got like a feeling or a thought, and you just might, if you're like me, just dismiss it and go, I don't have time to figure that out. I don't have time to work that out. I'm just going to continue on. But those little, hey, what about? Hey, what if? Sometimes those are invitations to open new doors in our lives. And I'm not talking about the sorts of little voices that are like, oh my golly, beware, or be afraid, worry. Not those voices. I'm talking about the thoughts that are invitations to expand. You could tune in and start to heed some of those, I think. I think we tell ourselves things. I know I tell myself things years before I actually go, hey, wait, I got a good idea. Well, I've got a thought about that. Yeah. And I tend to try to ignore a lot of that because I do have ADHD. So some of that stuff is like, stop in the middle of what you're doing and go start three more things. And it can be a little hard to sort the wisdom away from the impulse. You know, if you've got a bit of a scatter going on, you're just like, no, let me finish feeding the cat. It shouldn't take 45 minutes. I'm just I'm just talking about those little intuitive sorts of thoughts, those little bits of quiet intuition. Yeah. Thank goodness. You guys don't worry about the cat. The cat will keep me on task when the task is time to feed the cat. I'll tell you, there's somebody in the house who doesn't tolerate the ADHD ramble and wander. It's the feline. I just think sometimes I wish I could put her in charge of, more than she is. So this blank is made with the new paint, and I'm just enjoying the really subtle gradations and these soft grays. The color reminds me of the mineral olivine, which I would have to really probably go Google, but I think olivine is one of the most, if not the most, plentiful component of the Earth's crust. So a lot of the rocks you'll pick up and look at will have a glint of that sort of olivey green in it. So it's all around us. Boy, these are really coming together fairly efficiently tonight, quickly. Dan says that happens to him in the shop like a squirrel some days, bouncing around from corner to corner. Right? Oh, Dan says he thinks I might go through the whole stack. You don't know how many stacks of blanks and papers we've got. I think there's very little danger of that. Oh, that one's kind of different. Let's do a dark, rich one, shall we? I'm going to switch the pen up and go for one that's a little bit thicker. Yeah, maybe not tonight. I was getting dangerously low. There were a couple of live streams where I reached over to grab a blank because I like to finish the live stream and kind of wind it down with some pebble drawings. And I reached over and everything was just, it had like one layer of wash on it. I did a couple on that. It's possible, but I like them better when I've, just dropped at least 2 or 3 layers of color onto them. I just find them a little more challenging and a little more satisfying. Yeah, we were working with all kinds of stuff this last week. Working with a little bit of graphite. Doing some different things here. Somebody said, can you work in black and white? Uh-huh. And somebody said, could you put a little metallic on that? Uh-huh. There was one that I did with graphite. I wanted to had it in the community post, but I wanted to drag that out and yep. This is not the one, but this is another one. It's sort of a different approach. One of the viewers had asked, do I always start from a painted background and put the lines on? No, when I'm working on the paintings, I very often put a drop of water on and then work the paint into the water. So here, working with some graphite. This one was using gel ink. I think, Dan, you might have been here. We were talking about the G2 pen and just utilizing a gel ink in the wash. And I thought that one had kind of an interesting... Okay, which color? This one or this one? This... You'll have to, when I bring it up again, you'll have to let me know which one looked like vintage leather furniture. I've been using quite a few of the Kuretake brand Gansai Tambi, which means beautiful paint in Japanese. And they have a line that includes a graphite pigment. So this one, let's see if it is. This looks like it might have worked for me. Nope, this is just standard paint. So the graphite, when we burnish it, it has a... It burnishes. There's a bit of a gleam, like you get with a pencil lead. So sort of a... let's see if I can get the light to reflect off it. See, there's just a little kind of a reflectance off of it. And then, of course, it smears like you're rubbing into pencil lead, so I just use an eraser, and you can come into the white areas and lift that smudgy, dirty look off, but it leaves a... Just kind of works into the area in a new and interesting way. But here was one that was just really very different from the usual that I thought you guys might enjoy seeing. We had Jessica Lynn was in and said, do I ever work with graphite? And I was like, no, but I can. So that was the result of it. So that is what I say, that I enjoy the interplay between you guys, your viewers and commenters, that we just come to, it expands the expressive language. I'm working in ways that I wouldn't get to a painting like this without that question, right? I might not ever get to a painting like this if I didn't have that question and start that creative exploration. So I appreciate you guys so much. It's certainly not a burden to be here and to be painting or doing whatever I'm doing, and to be interrupted and to take another turn and go maybe grab a different material. I just find that it is fueling the creativity. So Dan is asking what colors I've got going on here. Well, I can see in the granulation I've got a little bit of bits reflecting, so that means I used paint made from Minnesota pipestone, and that is kind of this color. It's the catlinite that is from Minnesota, and it is a material that was used by Native Americans to make peace pipes out of. And it reminded me a bit of Sedona and New Mexico, those kind of desert scapes. I really thought the color was sort of gentle, but yet there was some color to it, but not too harsh. And the material is milled pretty fine, but it still granulates out, so it's got that texture that's just fueling me right now. I think this gold that's on top here is one that's called quinacridone gold, which is a really rich translucent gold. And not quite sure. My guess would be I probably was playing with some quinacridone magenta in the background there. So it's a real puddle of just what I've mopped up off the palette, and just, you know, lay these out by the dozen and do a little here, a little there. So But it makes, yeah, it ends up with a big, kind of a nice, rich background to work with. So I'm switching up here to a micron 10. It's double the width of the other one, and I'm just making that choice so that I've got a bit more. And my brain just went, yeah, what about the graphite stick? What about that? That would be even darker. Change of plans. I still might throw in some of that 10, but I think I'm gonna, let's try working with this here for our last one. So this is super light. It reminds me of charcoal, but it doesn't get on my hands the way charcoal. If I'd done that with charcoal, I would be covered in black. So if you have challenges of working clean, if I get charcoal, I am a mess. I've got charcoal all over the studio. My drawings are smudged. So I don't work in it very much. It's a traditional artist material, but I just don't. I like having a stick in my hand and being able to go directly on the page and make those sketchy sort of organic marks. There's something fairly satisfying about working directly on the paper. But I don't love, the mess of charcoal, so I will recommend the Conte crayons as an alternative to charcoal, because you can get that nice thicker line, or you can use the straight edge of it, or you can use the corner as a point, and you can get a fairly delicate, detailed little line. And just mix up those lines, thickness. I did come back over it with a wet brush, and you can pick up a little bit of material to get a wash effect. And if you were at home and you were improvising, you could maybe grab a black crayon. If you've had a fire, an actual wood fire, and you've got some bits of wood that didn't burn quite all the way into ash, and you can salvage out a little piece of burnt wood, there's charcoal. There's art. That's very traditional art material. So you don't have to use a fancy $3.50 Japanese pen. Oh, I gotta say, much more satisfying than that number 10 pen. Silly Rabbit, howdy, 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 happy solstice. I love the tone of this with these colors. It's really, really fun to do. My brain just said, "Oh, don't overwork it." I'll listen to that. So you can pick up. It does shut off. And this powdery part, you can, the part that's on the paper. Now, if I come in with a brush, like maybe a stuffed synthetic bristle that's fairly stiff, this is just a little angled flat brush. I can work a little water in, and then that turns into a wash that'll allow me to create some shadows. Yeah, that was. Yeah, Dan and Silly Wabbit. It was lovely to see you over there hunting out the art. Yeah. Get the focus there. So just putting that brush in a little bit of water I've got. How many points do I get for knocking though? I haven't done it. I haven't knocked it over in at least a week. Just show you a close-up of it, and then we bring in a little water, and it picks up that dust, and so this isn't strictly a it's not really intended, I don't think, to be laid down and then turned into paint. It's designed to be used to put lines on. But they're your art supplies. You can use them how you want. So if you want to cover the whole thing in water and go take it and scrub it off and put on another layer and do whatever you're moved to do. It is absolutely encouraged here, I'll tell you. Yeah. So I'm not trying to eradicate those lines. I'm just trying to work a little bit of that dust off and then create a wash of shadow. And that will give us that three-dimensional effect that makes the rocks pop up off the paper a little bit. Now, Dan, I really wish I could remember what all these colors were, because this is it's quite a beautiful color combo. Bring it up so you can take a look at that. Yeah, that sort of glow and shine, that's coming from that quinacridone gold, or this may have been another one that's really close, called Aussie Red Gold, but just gorgeous colors, just rich and luminous. Did you say Dremel, Dan? Boy, I haven't got the Dremel with the flex shaft and all so many. I don't know if I've got the router attachment, but it wouldn't surprise me. I'd literally misplaced the tote with all of the Dremel gadgets. I used to use it quite a bit when I was doing some more jewelry making and some, particularly the silversmithing, because you can set it up and use it to polish. And I was convinced that it had disappeared during a move, and then the other day I pulled a tote out from underneath the bed and went, oh, there's, yeah, $400 worth of Dremel. Whoops. Yeah, I don't think I'll set up and yeah, I'm with Silly Wabbit here. I think that that's probably something I need to put my full attention on so that nobody loses a it's something they want to use later. Yeah, they're really it's a nicely made tool. Well, when I bought mine, it was a very nicely made tool, I assume. I hope they're still made by the same company. Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna buy one of those handheld sorts of tools, was I had we had used Dremel in the lab where I took the jewelry classes back in the day, and they were and I think Foreman, the other flexible shaft tools that were nice to work with. And the first time I bought that sort of a tool, I looked at Dremel and I went, oh boy, those are kind of spendy. And here's this other thing that's about half the price. And I wasn't sure I was going to do much of that sort of work, so I bought the lower end. And I eventually went back and went for Dremel, and was well satisfied with the way it performed. So I think sometimes it's better to save and buy the good stuff first. The work is just, your end result is a higher quality, and your satisfaction with working with your tools. If you can eliminate the frustration, and that'll just result in better work. All right, I'm starting to get the paint to lift off now, which is not what I want, so I'm going to let this dry down a bit and come back to it. I struggle with that, working with water media. I do not enjoy the part where I have to wait. So much more patient than I was before, but it's still a struggle. Alrighty, any requests out there? Should we do another drawing? Do one more on this longest night of the year. See, that's what I'm saying about Dan's chat. There's a lot of respectful decorum in there. I know we're probably thinking it, but you got the good sense and manners not to say it. Yeah, we do that up in here too. I do try to keep a certain level of I do try to kind of be on my good behavior here, because looking at the demographics, there are quite a few people who are from um, the, they're young. And I think I don't want their parents walking in going, "What are you watching? Turn that off right now." I want everybody to be able to go, "I'm watching somebody paint, and I'm thinking about getting my art supplies out." So I think sometimes if I just cut loose completely, then um, we don't meet that goal. And anyway. Oh, silly wabbit. Good thing we're not over in Chow's, man. We go over in Chow's and then it's oh, I don't think Dan has ever made his way over to Chow's, but I talk like a pirate over there. There you go. Yeah. So I got the 10 out. Let's just have a look and see. It is it's dramatic. So I usually save it for things that need a little bit more contrast, but sometimes it's just kind of fun to switch it up. Just to quickly. So here's the 3, and then here's the 10. So you can see there's quite a dramatic difference there, too. Yeah, I think Dan's got some really beautiful tools. And yeah. I think I could sit and watch Dan use those tools for hours at a time. Poor Dan. I'm kind of sorry. Oh my. I mean, if you can't watch somebody using, with his hands on his tool on the internet, where can you find that stuff? It's just, I don't know. Just, oh, just don't get me started on the woodchucks tonight. I think we can not do that. I think they really come together a little bit differently when you go with that bolder line. It's just, I guess I could do it this way. We don't have to stack them on top of each other. Yeah. Well, thank you, Wabbit. It kind of doesn't matter what they're doing, because they're not doing it. It's possible that I hope that they've just had a moment to sit and think about what they've done. I doubt very much that that's going to happen. But what is going to happen is that they're not going to do that around me. And it takes me quite a bit to get to the point where I just go, no, just no, that's not okay. That's not an acceptable way to behave. It's not an acceptable way to treat other people. And particularly in this space where we've got this, when I say this space, I'm talking about anti-cult protests, where we've got adults who are standing on a street and they're yelling at other adults and telling them what to do. And I think if that's what you're engaged in, it behooves you to take a good look at your own behavior before you start doing that classic point at somebody else and say, you should da 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 da. And what's the saying? If you've got one pointed out at somebody else, you've got three fingers pointed back at yourself. So get your shit together. But having been in a coercive control group, I am a person who can just go along to get along for quite a long time before I start to question, what are we doing here, right? So it does take me quite a while to get to that point where I stop and just go, oh, this doesn't seem right. There's something that just doesn't set well. It doesn't align with my ethics and my morals. And when I get there, I just tend to be, okay, we are, full on done. But up until that point, like I try to, I try to put my shoulder to the yoke and do the work along with the other people doing the work. And I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I'm kind of set in my ways at this age. So am I likely to, become a person who starts questioning and backing out gracefully earlier? Probably not. Just probably it is how it is. Yeah. Oh, see, Silly Wabbit, you probably weren't here for the part where I was a lawyer. You might want to reconsider that. Not to say that lawyers can't be perfectly mannerly. Absolutely can. But I didn't know a lot of them who I would describe as kind and real. I think it's a credit to me that I was in there and went, boy, this sucks. I don't know why it didn't occur to me when I was in law school that if I was a lawyer, I would be spending all day working with, oh, that's right, lawyers. That my boss would be, oh, what is that? A lawyer. That when I left the office during daylight, it would only be to go to court where I was in front of a judge who was, a lawyer. Oh, is the phone ringing? Oh, that's a break from the lawyers. Who's that? Oh, my client who can't keep their own ass out of trouble. Um, just not a fun profession. But I gave it everything I had until I had a big health crisis that just made it impossible for me to continue on lawyering, and then I had to address that when I got back to health. I just decided I would not like to go back to that profession. So, yeah. Anyway, Silly Wabbit says everyone needs to know their rights. It's so important. You have the right to not work with a bunch of buttheads. That's, I will say, I certainly have been known to give it a try a time or two in my life before I go, wait a minute. Wait, do I have to be here? I don't have to be here. And then I worked in small business and I helped, I only ever went to law school because I wanted to help people solve problems. I had taken a degree in psychology and was really interested in, how do people work and what's going on and how does this all, what explains all of this mysterious stuff. And I had those questions because it turns out, as I was diagnosed in the last decade, that I was autistic. And so trying to figure people out is just, that's a challenge for a lot of people with autism. And I got done with the psychology degree and it was looking at, like, how long is it going to be before I get to help people? And it was ridiculous, It wouldn't just be a master's degree, it would be a doctoral degree, and doctoral degree in psychology seemed like a lot of education to not really be that helpful to people. So I kind of recalculated and I thought, well, lawyering, right? You've got people with problems. And even better, there's a statute of limitations. So they might have their problem. But you're going to work that thing out, or the statute is going to toll, and it's no longer something that you can solve with a legal process. Therefore, you're done. So I liked that aspect of it. I didn't love the part of psychological counseling where it just goes on for years, and the client controls the process. The psychologist does not control the process. So you'll see people, and they'll be, talking about the same problem for all of their life. And from a practical standpoint, I thought, well, lawyer, sure, you get into these things and you help people resolve these problems. So I think I saw a question there about what did I practice. As an associate, I came out of law school with the biggest class of people that had ever matriculated to the law school. So, good night, Dan. Good night. Thanks, and good going again on your live stream today. That was just terrific. So there was so much competition. So we just took, whatever job was offered, and I worked at a trial practice and did preparation for civil trials. Mostly. I did a little bit of, the firm took drunk driving defense, which I hated. And I had a client who was on videotape. Oh, you guys will love this one. So I look at the videotape and we're challenging the probable cause to pull over. Because if you don't have a good clean stop, then anything that comes after that gets thrown out as fruit of the poisonous tree. So if the police officer did not have probable cause to pull over this driver, then they would not have observed the driver out of his truck and would not have had reasonable suspicion in order to perform a field sobriety test. And this case gets flopped on my desk, and my boss says, challenge this on the turn signal. The cop said he didn't have a turn signal, and look on the video, he's got a turn signal. Which was true. Looked at the videotape, turn signal. The guy is also, out of the lane, all over inside the lane, and he's over the lines, and he's clearly not driving in a straight line. And the law enforcement officer, back then they didn't have body cameras, but they had a video. And the law enforcement officer has got the guy standing out beside his truck. And it's one of the mid-sized trucks, not the tiny ones, but sort of like a Ford Ranger-sized truck. And this is on the dash cam from the police car. And my client's standing there, and he suddenly falls into the bed of his own pickup truck. Now, I don't know how many times I watched that videotape, and I still can't figure out how the hell he did it. He's kind of got his, standing by the wheel well, he's kind of got his hand on the side of the bed of the pickup because he's so drunk he's not able to stand without support. And all of a sudden his torso just sort of goes over and his legs cartwheel in the air, and he's in the bed of his pickup truck. I mean, he's so drunk, he fell into the bed of his own truck. And, as a reasonable human being, I just kind of went, well, that asshole's drunk. And this is not his first trip through our law firm. And I went up to my boss and I was like, I can't do this. And my boss says he deserves a zealous defense. And he was accused of not having his turn signal on. He had his turn signal on. And basically, I just went to the legal secretary and I said, I'm not dealing with this case. And the boss is saying I have to deal with it. You've got any bright ideas about how I can not deal with it myself? Because I'm really troubled by defending a man who's so drunk he fell into the bed of his own pickup truck. And they had a strategy, and I punted it down to the next person lower than me on the roster, and it eventually got resolved. I didn't have to. I think there was, probably some sort of a plea agreement on it, or, who knows. But by that time, we charged $5,000 for the first offense. We charged $20,000 the second time you came in with a drunk driving offense. And the third time you came in, we said it was $20,000. No cashier's checks, nothing but a stack of cash on the desk. So my boss said, well, this is how they won't pay attention to the laws, but if we take $20,000 out of their bank account, he'll think about it. He'll call a taxi. So, I mean, we give lawyers a bad name, but I think they're also find themselves in these really untenable positions, right? Where we're looking at, oh my God, looking at this guy fall into the bed of his pickup truck and just going, like, I have to defend that. Yeah, so I think that was kind of the beginning and the end of my criminal defense work, just because by the time it gets to a lawyer, it's usually something that's just absurd. I mean, it was what I saw were things that were people just, that man should not have had a license. And he had years-long history of driving and running into things, and as far as I know, he had not had an accident and hurt somebody or himself, but he was not roadworthy. I still can't figure out how he fell into the truck. Like, just the physics of it. It used to be like some drunk physics to make that happen. Yeah. Yeah. That does explain the, I gotta tell you though, I had, what my family called a $5 vocabulary from the time I was a kid. I didn't, I had a lot of words in actually my first year of life, and then I kind of was quiet from about age 1 to about age 4. And then at 4, I saw something that I needed to let somebody know about, and so I did. And then they all kind of didn't listen to what I was saying, but they were all really like, oh my God, she said a sentence. And there was like, that pony does not belong in that field. Hello. So, yeah, we can't blame that all on law school. Yeah. Silly Wabbit says, alcohol and gravity don't mix. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes it's education and sometimes it's just the way we're wired. Some of us are just what's called hyperlexic. Alrighty. Well, we're at an hour and a half here, so shall we just do a little review, do the art show and see what we got up to today? I'll have to look back at the tape. See, I'm not sure which one we did first. I think it might have been this one. Art show. That's right. We've reached the art show. And then I have to remember to bring them in from the side so I don't make the camera make you guys all seasick. It's only taken 100 videos for me to get a little bit better with it. That one's fun with the dark blue in the center and that green border. I like this one. We've got kind of a reddish purple and a minty green going on here. And we went with some different media for the outline. See, that's nice when it dries down. I'll keep working on this a little bit. This one's still in progress. And then we went to the nice chubby liner here. Alrighty. Well, that'll wrap it up for us tonight. I want to thank everybody who came in and chatted and enjoyed some art, and I hope that you will look forward to a few more minutes of daylight tomorrow as we head into winter. Each day we'll get just a just a few more minutes, and before you know it, the days will be bright, and the nights won't be quite as dark and long, and we'll be past the holidays, and we'll have hopefully some nice memories to enjoy, and we will have all of the mess cleaned up, and yeah, a whole new year to think about what kind of art we're going to make and what kind of a mark we're going to make on the world we're in. So, thank you. Thank you. Wabbit says he likes, they like all of them really. That, like the blue one, this one. Yeah, that got us into, I think we've got some ultramarine and a bit of, maybe a bit of Prussian blue. I was trying to work some Prussian blue into things this last couple of weeks, and my eye will always go to whatever looks a little bit different from the rest of the group. And we get a quick look at the frame that we've got for some of the paintings that 4x8s. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Thanks for spending some time. I hope you're able to take some good care of yourself and be kind to some of those folks that you're sharing space with in the next days. Take a breath and try to find your patience. If you've got any of it left at the end of this year, look for the beautiful moments that come. I did want to let you guys know I am planning to do a live stream on Christmas. So whether that'll be a long live stream, I think we'll probably do segments throughout the day. So look for that. If you need to take a break or you just need to come in, check in, and do some, get some contact with some other human beings. That will be going on Wednesday. I'm planning to try to get live streams out every day between now and then, just because I know it's a bit of a tough time, and I want to just provide some respite for people to know that they'll have it. They will be impromptu streams, probably like what I usually do. If I've got anything that's planned, turn your notifications on for the community posts. I will try to give a little heads up by shooting out a community post, letting you know what's coming up. But we'll just do more of this, and we'll hang out and spend some time, get a mug of tea or coffee, and just hang out and talk about whatever it is. We'll get through this, we'll get transitioned into winter, and we'll look forward to the new year. So I do. Yep. I am out in Oregon is one question rolling in from the chat. So I see there's a few of you out there still, so it's your last chance. Throw up a question if you've got one. And if you haven't, double tap that screen, give me a like. That helps those notifications go out. And as Dan told us, apparently we have to have a certain amount of subscribers or we get capped out in who can watch. So, in Portland is its own universe there. Yeah. Yep. I hope she's had a chance to come out and spend some time out here in the Pacific Northwest before. I'm not sure where she's moving from, but Portland can be a bit of a transition for people. So, yeah, if she decides she doesn't love Portland, Eugene is also a really awesome town. We kind of call it the Berkeley of the North, and it's pretty terrific too. So, lots to enjoy out here, and certainly recreational opportunities like you wouldn't believe. The Columbia River Gorge is chock full of waterfalls and hiking trails, and in Portland, you're actually probably closer to an hour and a half away from the Pacific Ocean, but it's certainly an easy day trip over to spend some time at the beach, and hour and 20 minutes or so up to the mountains, and Yeah, that's terrific. She says that she's just got the vibe. She's built for Portland, so it's kind of a cool place to be a young person, I should think. All right, folks. Everybody take care, and I'll probably see you on a live stream tomorrow. So, good night. Thank you. Thank you for being in the chat, Wabbit. We appreciate you. Appreciate you all.